Milan Fashion Week reached a fever pitch last night as Jin of BTS stunned the global fashion world at Gucci's highly anticipated premiere of The Tiger. Held at the historic Palazzo Mezzanot, the event was set to showcase Gucci's daring La Famiglia collection and a star-studded short film featuring Demi Moore and Edward Norton. Yet, despite the Hollywood presence, it was Jin who captured every spotlight, leaving both European and American media declaring him the night's true icon. Dressed in an impeccably tailored La Famiglia ensemble designed by Gucci's creative director Demna Gvasalia, Jin embodied the very essence of the brand's new era, refined, modern, and unapologetically bold. Photographers' flashes followed his every move as cheers erupted from hundreds of fans gathered outside the venue, many of whom had traveled across borders to witness his Milan appearance. Inside, fashion insiders whispered about the balance Jin struck: elegance without excess, confidence without arrogance. Hollywood royalty may have been present, but even their allure seemed to pale. Variety noted, while Demi Moore and Edward Norton brought cinematic prestige, Jin BTS redefined the evening with a presence that merged fashion, music, and global culture. Meanwhile, Billboard described him as the connective tissue between Gucci's European heritage and the digital generation driving luxury's future. The short film itself, co-directed by Spike Jonze and Helena Rain, earned critical praise for its avant-garde aesthetic and experimental storytelling. Still, media coverage the next morning centered less on the film and more on Jin's arrival. The film was Gucci's canvas, wrote Le Monde, but Jin was the masterpiece. For Gucci, this moment was more than star power, it was strategy. With revenues under pressure and younger consumers shaping the luxury market, Jin's ambassadorship has proven to be a golden asset. His involvement in The Tiger premiere was not just symbolic, it was a declaration of Gucci's intent to marry cultural prestige with global accessibility. Fans across the globe echoed that sentiment online. Hashtags such as hashtag #JinAtMFW and hashtag #JinForGucci surged into global trends within minutes, dominating conversations far beyond the fashion sphere. Even mainstream news outlets acknowledged that Jin's presence had turned Milan Fashion Week into a cultural event that blurred the boundaries of music, fashion, and celebrity. As the applause fades and Milan prepares for the next round of shows, one truth has already crystallized. In a night designed to spotlight Hollywood stars and avant-garde couture, Jin BTS emerged as the brightest light of them all in Italy. The reception to Jin's appearance bordered on national pride. Corriere della Sera splashed across its culture section. Il Re della Sera è Jin, the king of the night is Jin, boldly suggesting that even Hollywood veterans were overshadowed. Their critic noted that while Demi Moore and Edward Norton offered gravitas, Jin brought something different, a living connection to millions of global fans who see Milan through his eyes. The article concluded, Milan has hosted countless stars, but few have transformed the atmosphere so completely. Across the border in France, Le Monde described the scene as a cultural clash that Jin won effortlessly. The paper praised Gucci's vision of aligning with him, writing, Jin embodies what luxury seeks today, timeless yet modern, familiar yet aspirational. In a room filled with Hollywood stars, he became the conversation. Fashion blogs in Paris went further, calling him the new crown jewel of Milan. The UK press joined in, with The Guardian headlining, Hollywood in the shadows as Jin BTS rules Milan. Their review emphasized that this wasn't simply about celebrity scale, but about cultural momentum. Stars like Edward Norton bring legacy, the article explained, but Jin represents the future, where fashion, music, and digital communities converge. Meanwhile, The Independent ran a viral op-ed. Forget Hollywood glamour, Milan belongs to Jin. German media echoed the sentiment, with Die Welt highlighting the sheer frenzy outside Palazzo Mezzanot. Their coverage emphasized how fans chanting Jin's name transformed the event from a closed fashion premiere into a global spectacle. It was not just a film launch, their report observed. It was a cultural takeover led by a single man. These reactions demonstrate a striking consensus. For Europe's most respected outlets, Jin wasn't merely Gucci's global ambassador. He was the night's undeniable epicenter. The historic Palazzo Mezzanot had staged a film premiere, but the world witnessed something bigger. Jin rewriting Milan Fashion Week's narrative in real time. As Vogue Italia summarized, Gucci unveiled a film, but Jin unveiled himself as fashion's future. Across the Atlantic, American media quickly amplified what European outlets had already declared. Jin BTS was the undisputed star of Milan Fashion Week. The New York Times ran a feature under the headline, From K-pop to couture, Jin BTS redefines Milan Fashion Week. The piece emphasized how Jin's arrival shifted the balance of attention from Hollywood veterans to a new kind of global celebrity whose influence transcends traditional boundaries. Vanity Fair was equally effusive, describing Jin's appearance as a masterclass in understated dominance. The magazine highlighted his ability to command the room without theatrics, noting that while Gucci's films sparkled with cinematic names like Demi Moore and Edward Norton, it was Jin's mere presence that made Milan unforgettable. The article drew comparisons to Lady Gaga's iconic turn at the Met Gala, positioning Jin in the same echelon of cultural disruptors on broadcast platforms. CNN International carried segments titled, "Milan Turns into Jin's Stage," emphasizing the unprecedented frenzy outside Palazzo Mezzanot. Analysts on the network described the spectacle as rare cultural alignment, where fashion houses, Hollywood, and global fandom collided, and Jin stood at the center. One commentator concluded bluntly, "He wasn't a guest. He was the event." Meanwhile, Billboard doubled down on its earlier assessment of Jin as the face of global fashion. Their extended feature argued that Gucci's alignment with Jin was not merely a marketing gamble, but a financial and cultural triumph. "Luxury thrives on exclusivity," they wrote, "but Jin makes exclusivity feel inclusive." His presence in Milan made fans everywhere feel they belonged to Gucci's story. Even Hollywood Reporter, traditionally focused on film industry figures, placed Jin's Milan moment at the top of its style coverage. The outlet pointed out the irony that a premiere featuring Hollywood icons was remembered most for the presence of a Korean singer. "This is what seismic cultural change looks like," their editor remarked by the end of the week. The consensus between Europe and the United States was undeniable. Jin's Milan Fashion Week debut had not only outshone Hollywood's finest, but also reframed the conversation around what it means to be a global star in 2025. For the first time, both continents seemed to agree. Jin BTS is no longer just part of the story. He is the headline by the final curtain call of Milan Fashion Week. Industry insiders and fans alike began using a new phrase to capture the essence of what had unfolded: the Jin Week. What began as Gucci's high-stakes gamble to reinvigorate its brand through cultural storytelling had transformed into a global phenomenon powered by one man's presence. European and American media outlets echoed a singular conclusion: Milan was no longer remembered for its avant-garde runway collections, nor for Hollywood's red carpet veterans. Instead, it was Jin BTS who redefined the week. His image in the Gucci La Famiglia collection was splashed across billboards, newsstands, and digital feeds worldwide, eclipsing coverage of other shows. The phrase, "When Jin walks in, fashion history rewrites itself," trended across platforms, encapsulating the rare unanimity of opinion between critics and fans. Fashion critics noted that what set Jin apart was not merely his appearance, but his ability to carry Milan's luxury stage with a quiet authority that resonated deeply in the cultural consciousness. He embodied what Gucci had hoped to convey: heritage fused with innovation, exclusivity blended with inclusivity. In the words of one Italian editor, "Milan has seen many icons, but tonight, Jin didn't walk into fashion. Fashion walked into Jin." Back in Seoul, ARMY trended hashtags celebrating their idol's achievement, while commentators in Paris, London, and New York began debating whether Jin's Milan appearance had set a new standard for fashion ambassadorship. For Gucci, the answer was already clear. Sales of the La Famiglia line spiked overnight, proving that Jin's cultural impact translates directly into commercial triumph. The legacy of Milan Fashion Week 2025 will not be measured solely by fabrics or silhouettes, but by the indelible mark left by Jin BTS. In an industry defined by fleeting trends, Jin turned a week-long event into a historic moment that will be studied, analyzed, and remembered for years to come. And as global headlines still reverberate, one truth rings louder than all others. This was not just Fashion Week, it was Jin Week. Even days after the final spotlight dimmed at Palazzo Mezzanot, the tremors of Jin BTS's appearance continued to ripple across the globe. From European fashion capitals to American entertainment hubs, commentators have declared that Jin didn't just attend Milan Fashion Week, he commandeered it. Reports from Billboard, Vogue Italia, and Le Monde all converged on one narrative: the Korean superstar has redefined what it means to be a fashion ambassador.